What should we expect on this December ban list update? Make sure you guys smash the little crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. So this just kind of appeared out of nowhere, honestly. And I didn't really expect to get this. So as mentioned in the blog and recap, the next points update is scheduled for next week and will take Phantom Revenge into account, even though its official launch date was moved to the 19th for North America, 17th at Euro TS. The next update will be based on the results and deck lists received from tournaments, starting with those at YCS Pittsburgh, and thanks to everyone who has been submitting deck lists. Keep them coming. Just so everyone knows, we do give strongest weight to complete submissions from tournaments, as in best of 3, where we can also see all deck lists, since that's the most accurate way to compile info. Once again, adjustments fall into several categories. Daily reminder that if you do nothing about the Cool Tune deck, you have some problems. Severe performance outliers. Census data. This includes cards both in a deck level and an individual level. For example, Dracotail's performance as a deck since October puts it in the line for increases, and Droll and Lockbird's performance as an individual card puts it in line for an increase as well. More so in North America than Europe, which is interesting. And if you have not realized this, Droll and Lockbird has been one of the craziest outliers within this format. And it has really ruined a lot of the developments and things that this format would normally have and be able to explore. And that's a problem. As always, this is the most important criteria and the fundamental principle of Genesis. Cards seeing excessive play see their costs go up. Other cards come down while keeping OTKs boxed out. Everything listed below is just a part of the initial ongoing early access tuning. And once we exit early access, it will be a bit different. We'll be talking a lot about the long-term Genesis plans soon, and those plans are pretty extensive. Interesting. I think the way they're doing things now seems to be fine, but okay. To put it in another way, everything listed below is going to be a performance outlier, blah, blah, blah. On to the categories, and as a note, categories are important because they're a guideline. Oh my gosh, thank you. We mentioned that Runic last time, but this category also includes Hecahan's Gygus, Hecahan's Xeno, Cool Tunes Clip, and Cool Tunes Q from Phantom Revenge, all of which proactively strike out and steal cards from the deck and extra deck. So we're hitting them in advance. About time. Honestly, I have seen Cool Tune just, it has performed so crazily in the Zodiac Monthly. And, you know, later today, you're going to see top 4 for that event. You're going to have a little bit of an idea of to why these decks are so crazy. Now, Hecahan's, I mean, is going to be a little bit more interesting. I mean, they do have a lot of extra deck manipulation in themselves, but you have to pair it with like illusion cards in order to like generate some good actual value. So, okay. Cards that multiply excessively. Dododo Warrior is a poster card for this category. This is good. I appreciate this. About time, actually. I'm actually cool with this. Cards that insulate one card combos. In Pittsburgh, players started gravitating en masse towards cards like Crossout Designator and Trap Trixlophasia that would help you force through your turn 1 combos, even if your opponent has a way to respond. The price of these cards at the moment is a bit too much of a bargain for how much you stand to gain. Basically, the counters to the counters should be more expensive than the counters themselves, and we might need to go into this more in another article. It's very interesting, actually. I think this is a very proportionate part of actual modern era Yu-Gi-Oh! 2. We don't have enough counters to the counters, it feels like, but Konami wants it to be that counters do exist to slow down the force of the game. They don't want you to necessarily have the counter to the counter unless you're dedicating some heavy cost into that. And I can understand within a format like this, Konami wants to actually have balance to that, and I think that's okay. Towers monsters. Oh, this is interesting. I.e. monsters that are pretty much immune to other card effects. Likewise, we're going to crank up the cost of monsters like Luna Light, Liger Dancer, and Super Quantal Great Magnus so that they have fewer points to give them generic backup. That's actually agreeable. I have watched in the Kongs events for Genesis, we have seen one very dedicated Lunalite player who has just torn through the competition because they're able to use all of these generic cards and allowing them a major chance to kind of get set up and using cards like Triple Tactics Thrust to be able to set up these crazy boards. I mean, you already don't have the pendulum part of your deck, but to see that a theme is able to culminate all of this advantage underneath one, flag is crazy. That's interesting. Readjusting extra deck monsters that get you another card. Separate from ones that cheat out another extra deck monster, these are the ones that get you another card in the same way. So things like Gaga Gaga Girl and Wind Up Couriers and Mighty are both cards in this category. I don't know why we need to do anything to Zen Mighty. Cards not necessarily doing anything too much here. And themes that were tempting. Last time we reduced the points on some themes that were popular internally but not externally, and we'll do it again. Dragon Maid, Sword Soul, Tenyi, Snake Eyes, Ninja again, and maybe Centurion and Six Samurai, although they're trickier. Well, I hate to tell you this, Konami, but welcome to Power Creep, alright? You're about to slam this format with Phantom Revenge, which is such a polarizing thing, and you really do have to drop down the points on Sword Soul and Dragon Maid if you want people to play these themes. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Reweighing the same point distributions. For example of this, the adventure cards were right over Mesian, Water Enchantress are 5 each, while the high-spec Wandering Griffin Rider is a 20. Glider Beast and Crystron are also being looked at for this. A more high-profile case is Branded, where Fallen of the Virtuous came out. We figured everybody would want to play it in threes, so we balanced things by putting points on the extra deck monsters. From what we're hearing, most Branded players would have been perfectly happy with just 1 to 2 of this new spell, and have preferred the extra deck cost to stay where they are. So we're going to make that correction. Interesting. Okay, this is an example of how we hit cards before they're out and might guess sometimes wrong, but we're happy to correct on the next list. Generic housekeeping. There are several handy generic cards that almost no one is using at the current values that will drop. We're also figuring out how gradual to make these declines in cards isn't played but then drops to 0. Suddenly everyone will play it at 3 and it just yo-yos back and forth. There's a sweet spot somewhere. The next update after this one will happen around the release of Burst Protocol. There are no official large-scale Genesis events between now and then, so the primary purpose of that update will be to add points to cards releasing around Burst Protocol and adjust other cost-based additions in Burst Protocol. So that's going to mean you're going to see Crown getting pointed, you're going to see a lot of the other genericness floating around there. You're going to also see the Branded in White, the Incredible Ecclesia, a lot of those generic powerhouse cards that set brings to the table are going to be getting point adjusted. One, I'm glad to see Droll and Lockbird being further discussed here while we're seeing that. It's interesting to see their reasoning for wanting to clean up Phantom Revenge. The Exceed deck is crazy, but there's no mention anywhere on here yet. Konami, what's going on with 7 Tachyon? I mean, you guys just continue to want 7 Tachyon just to exist. And it's crazy to think about just how strong 7 Tachyon is as an overall whole of a card. But overall, I mean, seeing that they want to bring back other decks like Centurion and try to do some budget adjustments for these decks, I think it's kind of welcoming, actually. It means that they're trying to spice up the format. And, they talk about long-term plans for this format, but, I think you have to keep things underneath the microscope on the way that you're doing them now. Maybe a little bit more, but I don't know. I'm curious to see where they're going to go with this. So please, Leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I think it's all time that we say goodbye to Droll and Lockbird in this format. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.